Hello viewer, welcome to Elimu TV. You are watching your TV station where you watch and learn. I want to welcome you to History and Government, Form 1, Lesson 2. And I will be your teacher, Mr. John Gatuma. Learn with me. We have been looking at the early man, and we looked at, in our previous lesson, we are looking at the introduction of the Stone Age period. And I gave you some assignment that you will try, so that in this particular lesson, we are able to explore some of the answers that were expected in that particular question. So the question was basically, you identify the Stone Age periods, and the 3 Stone Age periods are: 1, the Old Stone Age. Old Stone Age. And the Old Stone Age is also known as the Lower Paleolithic. It's also known as the Lower Paleolithic. 2, we have the Middle Stone Age period, and this is also known as the Middle Paleolithic period. 3, we have the New Stone Age period. The New Stone Age period is also known as the Neolithic period. In today's lesson, we are going to look at the early man, but the subtopic for today, we're going to deal with cultural and economic practices of early man. The cultural and economic practices of early man. When you talk of the cultural, it comes from the word culture, and culture is people's way of life. And economic practices of early man. The economic come from the word economics, activity. These are the ways in which the early man engaged, or activities that the early man engaged to get the daily living. That's why we are looking at both cultural and economic activities of early man. Remember, early man had its own culture, and it had its own method of acquiring the daily bread. That's basically what we are going to discuss in this particular lesson. Hope you're going to enjoy. We shall start with the culture. We are going to look at the culture of man in the Old Stone Age period. The culture of man in the Old Stone Age period. So when we talk of the culture of man in the Old Stone Age period, which is also known as the Lower Paleolithic period, we said that there is no way you can understand the culture of man without understanding the Old Stone Age period. So basically, I'm going to take you through this culture that actually happened during the Old Stone Age period. And during the Stone Age period, we say this is the year between 3 million to 1.5 million years ago. And actually, this was the first phase. So we have the first phase, and we have the second phase of the early Stone Age period, or the Old Stone Age period. So this period was characterized by the following culture. It was actually characterized by the following culture that we shall discuss. 1, the tools. The tools were made. So there are various tools that were made, and these tools are the production and use of various simple tools, such as the chopper, the flicks. The choppers, remember, were made by chipping a large pebble using a hammer stone. So during this time, man could make tools. It could make tools. 2, there was clothings. The clothings was one of the culture of man. The clothing, how man lived. Remember, man had a hairy body which acted as clothes. So the hairy body acted as a cloth in this time. So it was another characteristic of an early man. If you look at this early man, is have a hairy body and is making the weapons. So these weapons that he is making, They are such as the chopper. The chopper, remember, they were made by the chipping a large pebble using a hammer stone. You can see he is chipping a large pebble or another pebble using a hammer stone. So the flakes which fell off often became tools. So these flakes or these stones that are you can see on the ground, they became the flakes. So this method of making tools often produced rough and crude tools. So one of the earliest well-finished man-made tools was known as the first hatchets. So the tools that were made here, they were known as the Oldowan tools. Example, the Oldowan tools or the Pebble tools. So the Oldowan tools were the first found in the Olduvai Gorge, and following the excavation and the research, many other tools have been found, but basically that was the culture of man. So apart from that, they had the culture, the types of the houses they were living. So we shall discuss this one in details. So weapons, these are the weapons and tools that were made, and this one characterized this period. It characterized the culture of man in the lower Paleolithic or the early Stone Age period or the Paleolithic period. And remember, this was the first phase. So the weapons and tools, we have tools that I have told you. The choppers, they were made out of chipping a large pebble using a hammer stone, and the method that were used to make these tools was known as the fist hatchets, or the flint stone, which was a narrow at the end and the broad at the other. So the narrow end was chipped sharply to enable it to be used for cutting. So the stone tools of early man during the first phase are known as the Oldowan or the Pebble tools. So we look at the examples of the tools and the weapons that were used. We have the hatchet's head, we have the gut grinder, we have the hatchet's head, we have the thumb head grinder, we had the knife, we had the scrap, we had the scrapers, we had the half-made arrows, we had the scrapping tools, we had the cutting tools, we had the hammerheads, we have broken piece. So these one, among many other tools, they were known as the Oldowan tools. They were generally known as the Oldowan tools or the Pebble tools. And these Pebble tools, they were made through a method that was known as the first hatchets. And this it is when there was involved the chipping of a large pebble using a hammer tools, that as we have seen. So this is the types of tools that were made during the Paleolithic age. So a simple shaped stone tools like cutter and hand axe. Also they used spear tips and stick. So the tools, you can see the tools here that were also made in the Neolithic, that is the New Stone Age period, but this one we shall look at them. They were more advanced shape tools like bows and arrows and harpoons. Also they used spear tips. So basically the tools that were made in all these three Stone Age period that we have discussed, right from the early or the lower Paleolithic, the middle age or the middle Paleolithic, and late Stone Age period or upper Paleolithic or the Neolithic, they are totally different. But we need to understand, during the old Stone Age period, the one that we are looking, Paleolithic age, so in this time the simple tools were made. The simple tools were made, and they were shaped. The simple shaped stones tools were made. An example of this is the cutters and the hard axe. They were made, and they used spear tips and sticks. Look at how they are in that picture. We look at these simple tools that we are calling them the Oldowan or the Pebble tools, the Oldowan or the Pebble tools. And I said the stone tools of the early man during the first phase, they were known as the Oldowan tools or the Pebble tools. So the Oldowan tools were first found in the Oldovai Gorge, that is in the year 1911, and by a person that we call the Catwinkle. Further excavation and research have shown that the Mary Leakey and Louis Leakey's gave a good examples of tools. So they were known as the Oldovai tools, Oldowan tools, because of the place where they were extracted or excavated, and this is the Oldovai Gorge. Oldovai Gorge, this is in the Eastern Africa, and the markers of the Oldowan tools were the Australopithecus. Who are the makers? The people who made this, the hominids that made the Oldowan tools. They are the Australopithecines. We call them Australopithecines and Homo habilis. So Australopithecus and Australopithecines and Homo habilis, they were the makers of Oldowan tools. So apart from the Oldowan tools or Oldowan tools were also found in places such as the Kobe Forum, that is in Kenya, the Omo River Valley, that is in Ethiopia. You can also see them in the Kafue Valley, that is in Uganda, and the Swat Crans in South Africa. So these one among many other places, the tools have been collected. The tools have been collected. So the time when these one were produced, remember these were the simple tools, and you can see from a large tools, from a large stone, it was chopped. It was chopped, or it was chopped into pebble. You can see the pebble, and then the tools, the tools that were made, that is the flakes, the one that came out of using the method we call the fist hatchets. The tools were made. We look at the fist hatchets, the fist hatchets method. This is a diagram of a fist hatchets method, and in this method is one of the earliest well finished industry, and this is a place where the flint stone was narrow at one end and broad at the other end. You can see them, and the narrow end was chipped sharply to enable it to be used for cutting. So it's basically this end, one of the end that was a bit narrow, it was chipped into a cutting edge that could cut. So the edge was sharpened by cutting or chopping a large pebble or a large stone. You can see the dorsal surface. So this is actually the larger stone, which was actually chopped or chipped into flakes. You can see flake at the middle, that is known as the profile edge, or the edge of this, how the cutting edge, it was sharp. And we have the ventral surface, or the lower surface. When you say the dorsal surface is the upper surface, and the ventral surface, that is the lower surface, and this one was shaped or chipped to make the flakes or the pebble. And that's this method where the stones were made, the Oldowan tools were made. It was known as the fist hatchets, and the makers of these tools were the Australopithecus and Homo habilis. That is actually the first hominids. We continue with the making of these tools. We said the Homo habilis and Australopithecus, they made the Oldowan tools or the Pebble tools. So the Oldowan is named after the Oldovai Gorge in Tanzania where they were discovered. So the method of making tools or making the Pebble tools the Pebble tools were those which were fairly large round shape. So the Pebble tools were actually fairly large round shape, but out of this round shape, using the fist hatchets, the fist hatchet. You see the fist holding the flint stone, and in this it is when the maker of these tools used a large pebble, using or holding with the fist, and chipping using a hammer stone. So the flakes fell out of that, and you can see the flakes that are falling out of that. So this method, when the larger stone or fairly large round stones was used as a hammer stone to chop or chip a large pebble, it was known as the fist hatchet method. So the main method was known as the fist hatchet. This was the method that was used to make the tools. So look at from the pebble, large rounded stones, the flakes were made, and the flakes, remember, they have a high cutting edge. They could cut, they could be used as tools. Another picture of making of these tools by the Australopithecines and Homo habilis. This is you can see another pictures of the fist hatchet method, and right from process 1, and this is when he collected these stones. In process 2, he could now use a hammer stone, that is another pebble stone, and this one was used to crush or to remove some pebble, remove some flakes. So these stones that was coming down was known as the flake. On 3, this is when he was using a hammer, and we said a hammer is another stone, and this one was used to make tools. On process number 4, this is when he used a hammer to trim or to chop to make it have a cutting edge, and from this the finished hand axe was made. The finished hand axe was made, another pebble or the flakes were made. Other tools that were made here in the second phase, that's now in the second phase. In the second phase, the tools that were made was known as the Auchelian tools. The second phase in the old Stone Age period was known as the Auchelian tools. And Auchelian tools is named after the place where it was founded, and that is known as the Acheul Valley in the North France, and thus bears the name Auchelian tools. So these tools replaced the Oldowan tools that were discovered in 1859. It was discovered in 1859. So they are oval and pear-shaped hand axe associated with the Homo erectus. So Auchelian is associated with the Homo erectus. Also, Homo erectus is the first man to make these tools, the Auchelian tools. And man began to make tools that were more sharper. You look at the pictures of Auchelian tools, and this one is when this is the second phase of the old Stone Age period, and in the second phase, that is the between 1.5 millions to 100 million years, 100 years ago. So this is when man began to make the sharper tools from more than one material. So it was made from more than one material, and you can see the picture of the Auchelian tools. And the tools, these tools were made during the period when that was known as the Auchelian tools, and as it is depicted in that picture. So this a good example. They were the hard axe. You can see a good example of the braids. You have the braids, the hand axe, the spearheads, a good example of the Auchelian tools, the clevers, the arrowheads. They were used for digging up to tools or roots. They were used in digging up the roots. So they were also used in skinning after hunting, and also cutting and scraping animal skins. And compared to the Oldowan tools, as you can see in the picture, comparing with the Oldowan tools, the Auchelian tools were more refined and were made by the Homo erectus. So Auchelian tools were found at places such as the Oldowan, the Kariandusi, the Chesawanja in Kenya. So other sites where they have been found, we have others in Tanzania, Uganda, South Africa, DRC, Congo, Ghana, Mauritania, Algeria, Egypt, Europe, India, and Middle East. Basically, this is places where these tools have been found. A good example of these sites, we have the Acheul in France, northern France, and this is the picture of Auchelian tools that was collected in Acheul in northern France. This is a place where it was excavated, and you can see a picture of the tools, that is we call the Auchelian tools. Other pictures of the Auchelian tools are as follows. These are Auchelian tools. You can see the Auchelian tools are, we said, example, the Auchelian tools are such, they are used for digging, the skinning and cutting and scrubbing the animal skins. A good example of this, we have such as the arrowheads, you can see them, the hard axe, the cleavers, the spearheads, and many other. They were used for basically for digging and for skinning. Other tools that were made during this time, Paleolithic tools, they are known as Paleolithic tools. They are impressive achievements that you can say. They are such as the daggers, you can see a picture of a dagger, the hand axe, a picture of the hand axe, the scrapers, that is for cutting the animal skins or the hides. We have the spear points or the spearheads. We have the choppers. We have the splinters of bone, and this was used for fishing. They were used for fishing to make the fishing harpoon. These are other pictures. These are other pictures of the Auchelian tools and the choppers. They were chopped. Remember, these one were chopped out of big stones, the pebble. They were made. The Auchelian hand axe were made. They were shaped in that picture that you can see. That's basically about the tools. Another advent of this is the clothes. The clothes. So man had a hairy body to keep him warm, and also walked naked, as there was no any cloth making skills. There was no skills of making clothes. So man was forced to be hairy. Look at the pictures of man. He was forced to stay without clothes, that is naked, because he had a hairy body that kept him warm. Concerning the shelter was another characteristics of the old Stone Age period, and this where man made a semicircular groups of natural stones as a home or a cave. So he also slept in the forest and on top of the tree for security reason. This is a picture of the shelter. He could live in a cave, or make a semicircular stones that you can see in that picture, a semicircular stones, and they lived in a group, and the main reason why they lived in a group was for the security reason, and also to share some goods or food that was scarce in nature. So they lived in a cave, and also in top of the tree for the security reason. Other features that characterize this old Stone Age period is man ate raw meat. Man ate raw meat. It also ate the fruits that was not cooked. The vegetables, it could eat vegetables, eggs, insect and roots, all were raw because there was no any invention of fire. The fire was invented in the Middle Stone Age period that we are going to see in the next lesson. Man also got food apart from eating the raw meat, fruits, vegetables, eggs, insect and roots. Man also used to hunt. You can see a picture of man in action hunting the gazelle. He was hunting the gazelle for meat. After hunting the gazelle, remember there are various methods of hunting. The various methods of hunting they were used. And after successfully hunting these animals, they could come and use the stone. You can see they are holding the stone tools to skin the animals and to cut the meat so that they can eat. Other characteristics of Old Stone Age period, we have the social life, and this is where man lived in group of 20 to 30 people for security reason. So man lived in a group of 20 to 30 people. They were organized in such a manner that when the enemy comes, they are able to use the comrade power and fight these enemies. And another reason why they lived in a group is to share the scarce commodity, or the food that was scarce. So up to that, we have come to the end of our lesson today, and I want to give you some assignment that you will try, so that in the next lesson we are going to continue from there. So the question is just simple. You describe the culture of man in the Old Stone Age period, that is also known as the Lower Paleolithic period. The question is 5 marks. It's up to you. You do your own research, and in the next lesson we are going to start from here as we progress. Hope you're going to enjoy. So for any feedback, any question for that question, or any question that you would ask to ask, you can always contact us through the number on your screen. Our SMS number is 22518. Our Facebook page is at Elimu TV, and follow us on our Twitter handle being at Elimu_KE. I'm glad you are watching Elimu TV. This is a TV station where you watch and learn. Stay tuned till we meet in the next lesson. Your teacher, Mr. John Gatun. Thank you.